So last section was about solving just a one-step equation. So all you're going to have to do is just add or subtract to both sides of the equation, or multiply or divide by both sides of the equation. In this one, in this section, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about solving multi-step or two-step equations. So we're going to have to put those two steps together. The add, subtract, multiply, divide. We're going to have to put that stuff together. So to introduce, I want to show you this first example, this getting ready. In this getting ready example, you'll notice that we can still, player one has a certain amount of money, player two has a certain amount of money. But if I want to figure out what's inside of each one of these treasure boxes, what I would have to do is I would have to take away $5 from player one, take away $5 from player two. Take away $1 from player one, take away $1 from player two. Now I have the three treasure boxes left. And then player two has however much that is, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Player 2 has $24 over here. So now what I can do is I take player 1's treasure box and try to figure out, okay, in each one of these treasure boxes, each treasure box would have to contain how much so that player 1's money would equal player 2's money. We just created that equivalent expressions problem that we were talking about before. So the way that we do that is we take these three treasure boxes and we take this money and we split both sides up into three even groups. So I could take one treasure box here, one treasure box here, and one treasure box here. And then I take this 24 and I do the same thing, split it into three even groups. So if I split this into three even groups, then I'll know how much each treasure box has to contain. So if the first one, if I split it into three even groups, I would have $8 in each treasure box. So if that was the case, $8 in each treasure box, 8 times 3 is 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Each player then would have $30 total. So player 1 has 30 bucks, player 2 has $30. All right, so now what I'm trying to get across here is the fact that we're going to have to do the addition, subtraction, but we're also going to have to do multiplication or division. And that's why they call these two-step equations, because we're going to end up doing both steps in one single problem. So the objective here, the objective is to solve two-step equations when we have one variable, x or y. So the problem in the solve it can be modeled by an equation. The equations in this lesson are different from the equation in lesson 2.1 because they require two steps in order to solve them. So the essential understandings in this section, to solve two-step equations, you can use the properties of equality and inverse operations to form a series of simpler equivalent equations. You can use the properties of equality repeatedly to isolate the variable. And again, we're going to still focus on isolating the variable, and we're still going to focus on inverse operations. So we want to get that treasure box by itself. Because if I can get the treasure box by itself, here's my treasure box, I can figure out how much is inside of it. So a two-step equation, like the one shown below, involves two operations. So 2 times x, there's one operation right there, multiplication, plus 3. There's your other operation. So here's our two operations, multiplication and addition. To solve a two-step equation, identify the operations. So this one was multiplication, this one was addition. So after you identify the two operations, then what you're going to do is you're going to undo them using inverse operations. In other words, we are going to reverse the order of operations. I know last chapter we talked about the order of operations. Well, now if we want to solve an equation, we need to reverse the order of operations. So if I reverse my order of operations, if I focus on my inverse operations, if I undo this, I would start by getting rid of this addition. To get rid of the addition, we are going to subtract 3. All right, to get rid of the multiplication, we are going to divide by 2. And then after you go through and do your reverse order of operations, you do the inverse operations, then you will finally, hopefully, come up with your solution. So we come up with an answer of 6. And after you find your solution, it's usually a good idea to double check to make sure you got the right answer. So we can plug the 6 back in. So 2 times 6 plus 3, does it equal 15? Check to make sure this is a true statement. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. So yes, it is a true statement, which means 6 is the solution. All right, so this is the one that we just went through. And now down here, what is the solution of 5 equals t over 2 minus 3? So I'm going to write that out. 5 equals t divided by 2. So here we have division. Here we have subtraction. So if I do my reverse order of operations, that means I'm going to get rid of the subtraction first. To get rid of the subtraction, we do the opposite. So 8 is equal to t over 2. To get rid of the division, we do the opposite. We can multiply by 2. The 2's cancel out. They equal 1. And we get our final answer, which is t equal to 2 times 8 is 16. And we can always double check. So if we plug the 16 back in, 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 is equal to 5. So it's a true statement. So this here is the solution. You are making a bulletin board to advertise community service opportunities in your town. You plan to use half a sheet of construction paper for each ad. You need 5 sheets of construction paper for a title banner. You have 18 sheets of construction paper. How many ads can you make? So what we know, go through and identify what we know. We know that the paper per ad is half a sheet. So half a sheet of paper per ad. So there's a rate that we can pick out. It's always good to identify those rates. The paper for banner, there's 5 sheets. And then the total paper. The total paper is 18 sheets. And usually if you can identify a total, that's usually going to be an equal sign. So a total, the word total, or if you can work that word total into your problem, that usually translates into an equal sign. All right. So if I take this paper per ad, that directly translates, because it is half sheet per ad. So this directly translates into a half times ad. So for the ad, we can just put a variable in there. Let's just put in an A. 1/2 times A. The paper for banner, we already have 5 sheets. So you plan to use a half a sheet of construction paper per ad. You need 5 sheets of construction paper for a title banner. So we need 5 sheets of construction paper for the title banner. So for our total sheets, we would have to add 5 to that for the title banner. So here's for all of our pages plus our title banner, and that's going to give us our total. So whatever that total comes out to, and in this case, they tell us is 18. So now I can find my solution. I would subtract 5 from both sides. When I subtract 5 from both sides, I have a half times A equal to 13. And then to get rid of this half times A, so since this is multiplication, the inverse would be to divide by a half or to multiply by 2 over 1. Remember, it's the same thing. Dividing by a half is the exact same thing as multiplying by 2 over 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides. And I find out that A is equal to 26. So if there's 26, we can take that number, plug it back in. When I plug that back in, double check to make sure it is a true statement. And if it's a true statement, we know that this is our solution. All right, so this problem down here, suppose you use 1/4 of a sheet of paper for each add. 1/4 of a sheet of paper means 1/4. So this would be 1/4 A because it's 1/4 per add. This right here is 1/4 per add. So 1/4 A. And we use 4 full sheets for the title banner. So we would have to add the 4 sheets for the title banner. Now this is referring back to problem number 2. So if we refer back to problem number 2, we have 18 total sheets. So remember that total translates into the equals. So 1/4 A plus 4 equals 18. Go through and solve that. So subtract the 4 from both sides. And we get 1/4 A equals 14. And now you can either divide by 1/4, but it's the exact same thing as multiplying by 4 over 1. So if I multiply by 4 over 1, multiply by 4 over 1, I find out that our total number of adds would be 56. We can have a total of 56 adds.